All right, everyone. Welcome to the monthly council meeting for the Kingston Food Co-op. So glad you could all join us. We've got a pretty packed agenda, so we're going to get to it. Just want to give a little notice that this is a council meeting where we will be conducting the business of the co-op. So at the end of the meeting, there will be time. We call it the open forum. There's time for everyone to have any questions or comments that they want put in the record at that time. We're going to start with our agenda of business, then we're going to have an open forum. We end every meeting with an executive session. During this executive session, it is closed. We will ask everyone to leave at that time, but I will let you know that we only use it to discuss items of sensitive nature that could directly harm the success of our co-op or infringe on the rights of privacy of a staff member or co-op member. So just so you know, that's what we use that time for. And we'll start. Siobhan, are you ready? I know you just rushed in. You want to start with some co-op member updates?
Sure. So either yesterday or today we crossed 1,201 members. So yay, so exciting to finally hit that number. I feel like we've been talking about it for ages, but now we're there. So we have 1,201 members and 201 solidarity members, which is great. And as far as member updates, meaning Katie and I have been talking about kind of bringing back the community walks, which were really fun. And so we're looking at 2 days in May that I think is on the agenda for tonight, but that is Saturday the 12th or 26th. We might do a community walk, and I'll let you guys get to that if there's time tonight. But yeah, that's all I have right now for member updates. And we're also working on some like outreach planning for this year. And so we'll be talking about more ways for members to get involved and when we have more detail on that. But yeah, I'll pass it back to you, Lindsay.
Do you want to announce save the date for our annual meeting?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I don't have the notes doc pulled up. So
no worries, I got you.
But our annual members meeting is going to be on Saturday, April 10th. Sunday, April 10th at 11 a.m. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Lindsay, we're still figuring out if it's going to be virtual or in person, but we'll have those details figured out in the near future. And I'll pass it back to you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Siobhan. We just a few reminders that Kevius would have done. Kevius, our council president, is out ill tonight. So he wanted all the counselors to be reminded that our board assessments and self-assessments are due, I think tomorrow. We're going to talk about we're going to sort of like go over the assessment in our committee meeting on Friday. So if you haven't done it yet, I haven't, get to that tonight or tomorrow. And then also the post-meeting document he put up there's some places for input and comments. So, and that also I think is due this week. Different items on that are due this week. So don't forget, counselors, to check that out. Again, now we will move into our council committee reports and business. And the first one is Business Development Committee. Can I throw this one to you so that I'm not doing all the talking, since you're on that committee as well and Kevius is not here?
Yeah, definitely. Let me just...
Thanks.
Great. So we've updated the charter for the Business Development Committee. I can link it to folks to open up. And so we're hoping to get that approved. We did look at the notes that everyone left. Ali, I know you made a number of notes as well. And so we've reviewed that and created a final version. Do you Cool. Great. So should we,
I think Ollie's the only thumbs up we need, actually.
cool, perfect. So then should we move to get this approved?
Yeah. We don't have Kevius and Kendall. I mean, we don't have Kevius and Kendall. We only, and you and I wrote it.
Yeah.
So I think we're good.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Can you move on to this, the discussion about the integration committee and our collaboration?
Yeah, so basically, I know we had been trying to figure out the market study and how that fit into the role of the community integration committee. And basically, we talked about it a lot in business development, and where we landed of what makes the most sense is to hand off, assign specific subtasks that relate to community mobilization, gathering information for the market study through engagement with the community, whether it's, paid focus groups or door-to-door canvassing, other creative ways to gather information. Not another survey, since we feel like people are surveyed out, but we were thinking that those specific subtasks would be assigned to the community integration committee, with accountability to the community integration committee to get them done. But the business development committee will just still take overall accountability for moving the market study along as part of the business plan process. And so what do you think of that, Ali? I know we had kind of tried to unpack a little bit more where that accountability lives. And so that's kind of our update from our discussion this week.
I think one of the things we were looking at, did you see the doc that I dropped? That's sort of like this puts the information that we need to gather in order to do this aspect of our market study. And I don't want to, just conscious that people listening at home might be like, what, you guys don't have a market study yet? And I would like to say we do have a market study. We have a market study for the grocery store part of this venture. We don't have a market study for more of the food access programming aspects of the venture and how we fund that. So just so that no one gets nervous out there listening at home. So for this part of the market study, we're thinking anything of the nature where community people need to be canvassed in any sort of personal way, then that would fall in community integration. But if it's something that we can do where we're crunching data gathered by other organizations, we're looking at receipt drives or things like that, stuff that is data driven, that is not connected to actually speaking with a person, then that can be handled by the business development committee. And that's how we sort of looked at dividing that work.
Yeah, and this is highlighted in the document market study steps, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks for bringing this together and highlighting or breaking it down further. It sounds good. I will still drive or push from the community integration committee side is the task is well defined or well structured now. It's going to fall now to find the adequate volunteers or member owners to support and meet that task and deliverables, which is part of an ongoing thing of onboarding or bringing people together to meet that. So, but yeah, that's my only comments.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Definitely using, the community integration will plan that and lead the process, but we will need a lot of hands on deck, whether both all the council members, but also other volunteers and member owners who are interested in being a part of it.
And I think that brings us down now to an update from the community integration committee. Do you guys have anything to share today?
Yeah, I could share a bit with that. So there's been a process to, I would say, refocus. Well, not refocus sounds like a bigger shift, but just chisel down further the specific aims of the community integration committee, and identify areas that could be in need of support to make sure the goals are met. And a case in point is the previous example with the business development and the goals that we want to achieve with this market study, with a very social guided community, I'll say community fed or community led, community guided approach. So in the last few weeks, Nina, Kendall, the group is in general, also as new council members, we've gone together to make sure that again was further chiseled down, and we've come up with a good centered committee objective, and yeah, now is just making sure that we identify the right amount of people and support to make sure to be able to carry that out. So overall, exciting stuff, and exciting also that there's a good frame to move forward along with work.
That sounds great. Are you all planning on utilizing Siobhan in that as our outreach coordinator? I mean, it seems like a good place for.
Yeah, so at the moment we haven't specifically like named a role or a specific task of where that to fit, again, because of the things of the business development goals are, like I said, right now we're like stitching it all together. But yeah, if the Siobhan roles were to overlap, or to see how they could fit with the goals of the committee, like for sure, that's something that we'll definitely make sure to have support with.
Yeah, we have another meeting this week planned on Thursday to hammer out some of the details of, what are the next steps of to-dos. Right now, we've really been focusing on what the scope is, what the deliverables will be. And I think we're going to get into the like nitty gritty in our next meeting.
Very exciting, and thanks for that. So now this is real. I got to just take a moment and say that what is about to happen here is a very exciting moment for the development of our co-op, because this is the first time that we will have a report of a committee coming in from a non-council member. It is coming in from the chair of the committee. We are now going to get a report from the GM Search Committee chair, co-chair. Carrie, welcome. Take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, co-chair with Francesca. It's really nice to be here because this is my second council meeting I've ever been to. I'm looking forward to hearing everything that's going on. Just those last two reports were a lot more than I realized you were all working on in those areas. So it's nice to connect with everyone. We've been meeting since December, and we're meeting bi-weekly. We're making slow and steady progress. Tonight, there's two items up for review. One is the potential finalized job description, which everybody's been working on the council and the committee. And I think, it's been great seeing a lot of the edits and potential language changes. I think it looks amazing right now. And so that's up for tonight for the council to review. The committee has accepted it. And then the other item is the salary range. And the salary range being proposed by the committee is between 80,000 and 100,000 for the GM position. So I'm not sure if this is the point in the meeting where everyone goes over that. Is that how that works?
That's a good question. I think we'll start with the job description, and then also I have on here to look at the timeline
Timeline.
as well. And then I think that yeah, then we can talk about the salary range. We are missing 2 people, so I think the salary range we might have to hold on that, but we can do the other 2 pieces.
Okay, and Katie, were you able to share the timeline?
Yes. Do you want me to, I mentioned I could screen share it or I could drop it in the link.
Screen share, okay?
Screen share. Okay, let's do that. All right, give me 1 second. You want to do the timeline first?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah, do the timeline.
all right. I'm going to share my screen.
And the timeline is, you know, it's probably going to have to change a few times along the way, but we're going to try to stick to that as our basic plan. Yeah.
Can everyone see this? Okay, cool. So maybe I'll just add quickly here that this is a timeline that is kind of came from a template from the Colluminate GM search toolbox. So it's like adapted a little bit for our context, but for the most part, this is from the template.
And the right column, the council column, is all the things that will be up for approval by this group.
So I
Is the
think,
whole document visible?
say that again?
The whole document visible to everyone?
It's not. I could make it, oops, that was the wrong direction. Probably not. But yeah, maybe I should. Council members, you have seen this document already, right? This has come through.
Yeah,
the
does everyone
pipeline?
have
Okay.
it? It's also linked in the agenda,
Yeah.
so everyone can open it.
I have it open.
Okay.
Good.
Does anyone have any questions about the timeline?
Maybe we can, do you want to mention what was decided about the pre-screening team? Oh, Carrie, I don't know if you were in that. Were you in that meeting?
I read the notes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have 2 people on the pre-screening team who will be the first round taking in the applications. And steps in the committee are to finish the rubric questions to see which applications will move along to the next round. And that will be Alan and who is the other person?
Kendall.
Kendall, yes. I haven't met Kendall yet. And those will be the primary people, and then we'll move the next round of applicants over to a larger group that's going to screen, including council members, right?
Yes, and
council
Kendall is
members
also on the council.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and council members will be part of the interview process. Possibly
Mhm.
all council members. I think that still needs to be determined. Is that right, Lindsay?
Yeah. So that's what we're working on. So the rubric questions are next, and then the next steps after that are getting the job posted, which if we can stick to the timeline, it's coming up pretty soon.
And did you mention that, I don't know if you mentioned that the initial screening process all the way through, I guess, until we're blinding the cover letters and we're moving names and all that from, so that it's just the writing and the actual qualifications in terms of the first screen. It's like, do they meet these qualifications or not? That's it.
Yep. I think that's great.
So council, does everyone feel good about this timeline? Feel like this is doable and appropriate?
And I'll also just say, like, this of course is like, you know, we can adjust it if it's necessary.
It's likely we'll have to here and there.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at it right before the meeting, and I'm looking at it again now, and it feels like a realistic timeline to aim for.
Yeah, I'll second. Well, Carrie, you mentioned that the timeline is kind of there are some tight angles that, right? The tight curves there. I do think though, with the impulse that we have now with a fuller council to lend support, or to lead, it could happen. I did have a general question on this. If there's no other reports or things to share about this timeline.
No, I think that's it.
Cool. Yeah. How was the search for I guess the timeline, the creation, the group? How was the working group with I guess crafting and coming up with the timelines or the process of the GM committee search? How's it been? Given that's one of the limited groups that are fully engaged with not member owners on the side or actively collaborating. How's that been?
I feel like it's pretty good. I believe we've only had 4 meetings, so we're kind of getting a flow now. But we've done some little work outside of the group together. Like Katie did a good portion of the work on the timeline. She and I met about that. And the rubric is something that Francesca and I are working on the side, and then we're going to bring it back to the meeting. But it seems like we each, we break off into little groups and take our tasks and then come back together and then meet. And it's been a pretty good flow, I feel. Yeah.
Great. That's good to know. Yeah. And were there any things like a low point or something like a wall of something that thinking further ahead that we're gonna, now that we have a timeline and that, there are certain tight curves that we have to do, there are certain things that you identified that could be maybe better smoothed out or polished so that the work can be achieved better. And if you don't have something now, this is something that I'm generally interested to make sure to support the committees as a council.
Yeah, the thing that comes to my mind is really for us to learn the flow between the council and the committee and how we work. And I feel like that I have a good grasp of it now, because committees and boards in co-ops, each one has their own unique style of how they communicate. So just kind of learning the flow here and communicating that to the entire committee has been helpful. Just, like processes, for example, of how we'll work out a job description or how we will work out items that come to the council for approval. What is our process there? But I think it's become clearer in the last few weeks. Do you have any questions related to that? The process between our two groups?
No, not personally. No, I'm good. It's good just to hear how's that working been going again, given that it's one of the few groups that are just actively, coming together and working off. It's just good to hear ways that we could be greater support, to make sure that, because y'all are doing this as a co-op, right? Like the member owners going out, and there's a steam and power momentum that's being built, and we want to make sure to sustain that and so the co-op can go and succeed. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited about it. I think we have a good group, and it's moving along nicely. Yeah.
Excellent. Can we look at the job description? I mean, everyone I think has looked at it. Are there any points of discussion before we see if we can approve it? All right, if there's nothing being raised for discussion, I would propose that we accept this job description as is, awaiting the only thing that is missing from it is the actual salary range.
So the proposal is to accept the job description without the salary range, or waiting until we have approval from every council member to do the salary. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Carrie.
How does it work with the voting on the council? It's consensus, right?
Mhm. Yeah, that's
So
a,
if something like this comes up for a vote, how is it working on the council?
it's, so I asked if anyone has anything to discuss about it. So that would be like where we'd raise questions and concerns, and then we test for consensus and see, does everyone feel like they want to move forward with this? And if everyone feels like they want to move forward with it, we move forward. And if someone's like, you know what, we need to address this thing. And if it's something that we can talk about in the moment, we do. If it's something we need to go away and take some more time, we go away and take some more time. It's a iterative process. It takes longer than voting, but the idea is that more voices are heard and it's a more complete process.
Yeah, I think it's great. Does that mean that the full council is in attendance for votes?
We do not need the full council to be in attendance to test for consensus. So some things that we feel like are more sticky, we will wait, but there's no, we don't actually, we can approve this without our 2 members. We also know that we have Kevius's and Ken, we actually know that because Kendall was in the final editing of this in the committee last week, and Kevius also said it was good. So we just really need Ali and Nina.
Cool. I have also looked at multiple iterations of this and I love where it ended up. So definitely a go for me.
Yeah, and again, see, I'm good with it. It's the whole process was nice, you know, of just coming in and offering and then people sharing and you know, reshaping and stuff. So it was good, and I'm glad that it was nice collaboration.
Yeah, good job, everybody. A lot of work went into that job description to make it reflective of our organization and also meet, you know, not our first version was like 4 pages. So I feel really like we did a good job of getting all those thoughts and needs down. So thank you, everyone, for your work. And Carrie, thanks for being here with us today and putting so much work into your co-op. What is next? I have lost my document.
Do we want to just have a conversation? I know we can't vote, the council can't vote on the salary, but do we want to have a quick conversation about it just so that we can be kind of moving in the direction?
Yeah, good call. Do you guys want to take it as I mean, Carrie, you weren't there. Let's talk about this. 80 to 100 is where we landed in our meeting. It's not where we started. We started, I think, at 50 to 70. So does someone want to talk us through how we upped our range so dramatically?
I'm glad to do that if it's helpful. Oh.
That would be helpful.
Okay. Well, so we kind of started as like knowing that 80,000 is defined in our pro forma. That's what we have budgeted for. And then kind of in the GM search committee group, you know, there were a lot of different conversations around, you know, finding a salary range that makes sense for the type of job that we're asking this person to do. It's like quite an enormous position, requires like evening, weekends, you know, probably more than 40 hours every single week. And we have some people on the committee who have been general managers, including Carrie, and other folks who have been in other management positions in food. And so the feeling in the committee was, if we want to be competitive and if we want to also be able to offer a salary that makes sense for the type of job, that starting lower than $80,000 a year would be too low. And so then the range ended at 100,000 because originally it was suggested, I think Kivius had suggested 75,000 to 95,000, and a member of the committee suggested that we go up to 100. based on the fact that folks who are searching for the job might put a filter, like it won't hit the filter for people who are looking up to at $100,000 and up. So that was kind of the thinking for adding on, for kind of bumping it up a little bit. So that's, yeah, I think that's kind of where we landed. And I'll just say that, like, for our, like, an industry standard for a co-op of our size, I think was something like 65 to 85,000. And that doesn't necessarily take into account like where we're geographically located and things like cost of living in this area, etc. So yeah.
I think the only other thing that we were talking about in the meeting that you didn't mention, Katie, was that we were going to phrase it, or we're hoping to phrase it in such a way that that is the total compensation package, not necessarily the annual salary. So it's like salary and benefits 80 to 100, which means we can factor in the cost of healthcare and our IRA matching, you know, that we can put the monetary amount on that. So it could end up with a salary that is, you know, 90 plus the benefits, or makes it 100, right? Wasn't that where we landed? I think, Katie, you're the only other one in the meeting.
Yes, but I actually, I maybe I interpreted that a little bit differently, because if we say the total benefits package could come to 80, like could add up to $80,000, that might mean that the salary itself is like 65, which would be a pretty different, that would be something pretty different. So yeah, we should get super clear on what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it also feels like most of the time probably we won't end up on the lowest range of the lowest amount of a salary range, because most people will want to negotiate higher, and probably the best candidates will have great leverage for negotiating higher. So I feel like that's also okay. Like, we probably won't end up at 65,000 in salary plus $15,000 of benefits.
So it's not
So-
like, we don't even need to worry about it.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Okay.
But I think if we're saying that the salary, because right now the language says salary range is
Salary
80
range.
to 100. So that
Mhm.
would mean that somebody could negotiate $100,000 salary plus a benefits package. And so if that's not what we're talking about, we should be really clear about it.
Mhm.
That's what I was bringing up, that we had a conversation. Our conversation was precisely that we're not going to say 80 to 100 salary. That's the box we get to check for when we put it into the, you know, Indeed and all those other things. But what we're going to write is salary and benefits packages, or I don't know what the terminology is, but someone in that meeting said it very well.
Yeah, I think Francesca has a lot of experience doing this kind of work. But there's a good comment in the chat from Rhea and Steve that says deciding on the cost of the benefits package will be important for finalizing this. So
yeah, and we do have some of that, because we do have 2 staff members right now that have benefits packages. So that is not unknown.
Yeah, we haven't put it together in a total, in like a neat little package. And we also haven't decided if there's other things that we would be offering to this GM that we don't offer now, or, you know, that kind of thing.
So we can't really decide this now.
Yeah, but I don't think this is what I think having this conversation is why this was helpful.
Yes.
So maybe my homework will be to just pull together the cost of the current benefits package that we offer, if we're assuming that we'll extend our current benefits package to our GM, and then we can kind of use that as a baseline.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thanks. For our next GM meeting. On the timeline, when are we supposed to be releasing this? March, right?
I think so. I gotta look back.
Yeah, that's right. I think everything should be approved by during February, and then March says that's when all the copy will be drafted and that will be published as well.
Okay.
So I don't know
Alright.
if we even want to wait to, like, I think also this is something that the council can just decide, like we have the committee's recommendation and we don't necessarily have to wait to send this back to the committee and then back to the council again.
Okay.
That's my suggestion.
All right. So is this a finance committee thing?
I think so.
I'm sorry, I'm putting it on for the
Yeah.
agenda. Makes sense.
Yeah, it is. It's something that it would have to be reviewed with in finance.
Okay, so then Katie, can you get that the numbers that you're going to pull together over to Ollie so that they can talk about it in finance? Cool. All right, so next is nominations committee. I will say the nominations committee is tracking a couple people to run, but obviously everyone tell your friends. And while we're talking about running for a 3-year term, we do have the proposed elections calendar linked in the agenda. So it is posting the elections calendar on the website with the requirements, what the requirements are to be a council member, what the council member commitment is, all that information on the website. Doing a little social media campaign to let everyone know that it's there. Mid-March, all of the candidates that have filled out their council member interest form can join us in our meeting, see how we work. Maybe there's some people here now that are interested. And then we can have actual meetings with the candidates so they can ask questions, like a little council member Q&A for potential council members. And then the final day to declare candidacy would be March 25th. And then voting starts on the 10th. So what we have to decide as a council is if this timeline looks okay, if there's anything missing, and also which meetings we would want to open for people to sit in on, if we want to make some of our more robust committees available for people to observe, if it's only the committee meeting on Friday, or if it's only the open council meeting, like what do we want to make available for prospective council members to sit in on. Thoughts?
And I just wanted to note quickly that Siobhan and I were putting this together today, and we kind of consolidated, this is based on our past year's calendars, but we consolidated it a little bit so that the meet and greet with members is on the annual meeting day rather than a separate thing. So we wanted to kind of condense the number of events. So anyone who's been tracking on this for the last few years might notice that, but
I don't think we did a meet and greet the first year. I think we didn't have anything. We're growing. Any thoughts, Nina, Ali?
Yeah, I mean, I think from my first look, it looks great. In terms of what to open for people to observe, I honestly feel like anything should be open, and we can always, have like a closed session if there's anything of sensitive nature that can't be discussed publicly. And if maybe we can provide a list of committees and like when they meet, and people can submit requests for what they'd like to participate in, and that can just be we'll just be aware of that when we're putting together the agenda, and if anything needs to be left off, we can do that. But feels like, especially if people are imagining that there's particular committees that they'd like to be a part of and participate in, that would probably be great to be open.
Yeah, agreed. Ollie, do you see anything as you actually have probably more experience with board elections than we do. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, the timeline, it's kind of tight. And what I'm thinking of, well, that being said, everything sounds, I mean, yeah, the structure looks fine, but I'm interested more on the like the processes of getting people to potentially be like want to become a candidate. Like I know you mentioned right now or before that there's a few people I guess on the lookout or on it, but I guess it's more information on how, like what channels of like, okay, just talking to your friends or talking to people, but how can more people feel engaged on wanting to participate in the council?
Yeah, those are
Those are my
great
thing.
questions, and definitely things that we need to explore more. And would be great if you want to join the nominations committee. That would also be good. But
With me
yes.
or someone
Yeah, no,
generally?
you, only you specifically.
Well,
But
I think, yeah, go ahead.
we do have a process that you can check out the folder and see sort of it's all laid out. But in terms of this feeling rushed, I absolutely agree it is. We are definitely starting later this year than last year. Unfortunately, like the timeline, there's a hard stop that at annual meeting. And so we're rushing to catch up at this point for sure.
Ali, can you say more about, oh, Nina, I think I was just going to kind of highlight the question you asked in the chat, Nina, but like the pieces that you would, I mean, beyond like getting folks engaged in general more in the process, which obviously is, which I agree is really important. Are there any particular pieces of this timeline that you might suggest we change in the short term?
So thanks for bringing that question back, because I looked at the chat and I got confused. I was like, maybe that's the answer was a little scattered before. I was like, what's going on with the chat? And I'm like, trying to answer and answer live. So specific parts, I mean, I think Lindsay just kind of summed it up essentially with that, okay, it's Russian and everything, but the changes, whatever changes can be made still have to be met within the annual meeting timeframe. So based on that, there isn't really much to change on like the structure, but the thing on the methods, like I guess the methodology of how to get more people to enter in this structure of candidacy and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'll take a look at the folder and to see what other ideas, but this is a good call to everyone that is now participating right now and like later here, the recording is that, yeah, the co-op and the council is an area where the more people together to support the generation and creation of ideas and collaboration, like this is a spot to be. This is the cool place to be, right? So come on board or join more of these meetings or decide to be part of it, because this will be the spot to do more. A lot of work to do, and we need people to do it. So yeah.
Great plug. Katie, do you want to, is there anything, I have 1 minute for capital project update. I don't know if you have anything you want to speak about in that department. I wasn't sure if there was anything.
Just that, it's not much of an update. It's just kind of like plugging along, right? As we're moving it along with our business planning, we'll be bringing in our design team to talk about feasibility of business planning work. So that's not really there. I don't think there's anything new.
Okay, that's fine. Lots going on. There can't be new stuff every week. Okay, next thing is a discussion that came out of our general meeting planning meeting the other day, that with the rapidly declining rate of transmission in our county, that we could put having an outdoor only general meeting, well, a hybrid outdoor and online general meeting back on the table, which we had taken off due to safety concerns. So this is, let's talk about it and give Siobhan the go ahead or the no go ahead to plan that. The proposal was that we use the parking lot next to the co-op. We get a big event tent. We collaborate with Kingston Radio so that they can broadcast it live, as well as have people be able to attend outside and, have our meeting. And then it would not be a party. We talked about having a block party, and we will then have the block party still in middle of June or something, but that we can still have an annual meeting in person. So what say you, counselors? Thoughts?
Yeah, I'm generally all of this stuff. I'm more of a remote first. I've adopted remote everything, so that's where I'm coming from. The only way that I mean, not the only way, but it's an area that I think would be great for that, outdoor, considering the new the drops and everything, is that if to see how, I guess, the schedule of the day, and to make sure things are, can run smooth, and I guess I'm just thinking about liability, right? Of like having more people around, just a lot of moving parts for a small team to manage. Or like, so is that a task that the council, Siobhan, Katie, to allocate resources at this time? Right? So that's my thing. And then that would go further to like just remote. It'll just be much more simpler and cleaner and less work. But I'm not considering co-op morale but by getting together, or community morale by getting together. But those are my comments.
Yeah, I think the morale piece is really important. I feel like things will feel more real when there can be an in-person element. And I think there's a lot of times when it feels unsafe and not realistic to do that. And if right now we have this window that may be, a better time for a safe, spread out outdoors in-person gathering. I don't know. I just personally very much believe in like activating space and like having that organic, even people walking by and like seeing something happening in person can like build more interest in the co-op. I think it can create like more of a social element, especially where I think a lot of people are kind of feeling like they haven't seen much move forward. I don't know. I feel like we'll get like a different kind of participation that these like open Zoom council meetings like may struggle to reach as many people. And also just Zoom fatigue is so real. So I think it makes sense for like the regular pieces to be remote. So we can make sure, people don't have barriers to participate because like they need to get somewhere and they can't get there. But it does feel like for these like one-off, not one-off, but like less regular special events, if we can pull it off in person. And then I think the other piece was like understanding how well that architecture presentation was able to function outdoors shows that like there are more moving pieces, there are more logistics, but we can do it. And also like if things run 15 minutes behind because we have like a technical error, I think it's okay too, like it is like a very human process. And like, I think people will understand that there's a lot of moving pieces and, while we're aiming to create a smooth flow, like if something happens and we have to like roll with that, I don't know. I'm a big for this in-person annual meeting personally.
And I think we just have to make sure that we're planning this, and it will easily be able to shift back to being fully remote if safety decrees that. So even though we will have a tent and we'll have the setup, it's basically going to be a Zoom. We're going to do it just like we would do a Zoom meeting. So if we have to, we just go right back to all Zoom. It will be like a live Zoom meeting with a meal afterwards.
Yeah, and on the live Zoom or this hybrid thing, has a hybrid model been like happened before? The question, and then specific comment is I've been in hybrid Zoom meetings, like live Zoom stuff, and it can just get very weird with people on Zoom having questions, who's reading them out, there's no microphone reception or feedback and stuff. So I'm not gonna oppose any decision on what, it's just as long as if it's hybrid, certain tech is considered, or outside certain things are considered, and like a backup plan to like, okay, let's go remote to make for the voting piece specifically. Like that's where my angle is focused on, the voting, and the other stuff is
The good thing about the voting is it doesn't happen live for us. We do like a 2-week voting poll, and we use polling software. So it will more be an explanation of what is on the ballot this year to vote on, the referendum and the candidates. And then the actual voting isn't happening live in that moment. So that does take a little bit of that out. But in terms of the overall tech concerns that you raised, yes, we definitely need to look at that. And so maybe Siobhan, for our next like organizational meeting, we can just make sure to talk about the tech aspects and make sure we're parsing out responsibility. And then also to say that when we did the architect presentation that Nina brought up earlier, we did it in partnership with Radio Kingston. We didn't do a live broadcast, they just recorded it, but they were ready to do a live broadcast. We just didn't have the Wi-Fi where we were. And now if we're at the co-op, we will have the Wi-Fi access there, and it's right across, the street from their building. So I think that we'll have some like really good tech support. Yes, let's look at those concerns seriously, because that will, make it successful or not.
And I'll also add that we did have over 200 people view the architect presentation recording, which I think was quite excellent. So we had like, I think 60 people in person, and then 200 people watched it later. So we have a fairly good track record for people like watching if they can't or don't want to join us in person. We can still make sure there's an option for them to participate afterwards.
So I'm sensing that there's overall support to do this with with major attention paid towards safety and proper tech assistance. Does that seem to sum it up for everyone? Okay. So we'll move forward with planning the hybrid event, which is exciting, because it will be the first time that we've had an in-person annual. All of our annual meetings now have been pandemic annual meetings. So this will be the first, it's fun. It's exciting. I think we're ready. Oh, sorry.
Quick plug to save the date for April 10th for the annual meeting.
April 10th. Awesome. This is now, if there's no new business that anyone that Ali or Nina needs to raise.
Did Katie have something? Or I feel like I saw a post somewhere, or
I think it just got moved into,
we're going to move it.
Oh, that was the elections calendar, right? I think I just put it into the nominations committee update.
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Thanks.
Cool.
Nice catch, Nina. Okay, so this is now the part of the meeting that is the open forum. So if any of the members here would like to turn on their camera and their mic and ask a question, make a comment, raise a concern, that will go into the record. This is the moment. It's also always okay just to be here, to be observing and being a part of it, and not have anything to say is also really wonderful. We're just very grateful that there's so many of you here tonight, and then so many of you watching on your own later. Thank you for participating.
And you can also use the chat. And can we also give a shout out to our new intern, Enma, who's here?
Hi, Enma.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Hi.
Okay, well, if that seems to be it. So at this point, we will go into our executive session and we will turn off the recording. Thank you all for being here. Thanks, Carrie, for your presentation, and thanks, Enma, for coming. And also, hi, Charlotte, and bye, and to everyone else.